Well, hi again. Chris here, scooter router. This time I'm on my way to Parkstone from my home. I've started filming here in Bournemouth Square. I'm going to the upper Parkstone and then down to lower Parkstone. This, of course, is in Poole, not Bournemouth. Parkstone is Poole, and it is on the route to Poole. So it was an experience which I'll tell you about later, which has put me off doing the whole trip. I'll explain it more later. So the route I've got planned is start off here at Bournemouth Square, head up Poole Road, which is actually the road to Poole, and then get to Branksome, which then will take me across to Parkstone, which I go all the way to the top to a nice viewpoint called Constitution Hill. Then after that I go down the hill, because Poole is down the hill, and go to Lower Parkstone, and then make my way back. Sounds quite simple, but it's quite a long journey. In fact, this whole trip, when the times I got back home, was about 4.5 hours. Although my filming is not that long, because a lot of it I'd covered before and I wanted to keep it as short as possible, but just to show the rough areas. But anyway, as you can see, it's a lot cooler today. A few clouds in the sky. It's a lot better because it was getting a bit too hot for me to go out before. But today was nice and cool. It's about 23 degrees. It's about 10, it's just after 10, maybe 11, past 10, 11 at the moment. So, and it's pretty cool. It's probably about 20 now, but it's much better for me, and it's a lot easier for me to do these trips without getting overheated. I mean, I am getting on, you know. God, watch me health. So here we are. This is what they call the triangle. So we now head up here, this is the Poole Hill, which leads to Poole Road, County Gates, which then we start entering Poole at County Gates. Of course, this whole area holds a lot of memories for me, childhood memories, because I grew up here in Bournemouth, Terrace Road, and so my school was up there that I went to. My church was up here, we passed that as well, and my home at the time was just down the road, so everything was around this area. So a lot of my childhood was here. Every time I come up here, I have memories. And here was one of them. This was an alleyway. And I bet not many people go up here, this alleyway, but as a kid, I used this area quite a lot. And a lot of us kids do. It was like a shortcut, but it wasn't really a shortcut. But it was a way home from school, around the back alleys. And I hadn't been up here for years. And I suddenly noticed how it's changed. That looks like some kind of coffee or nightclub or something going on there. It's quite a funny build. But all these houses on the right, as you can see, they're obviously new. The ones on the left are the back of the shops, because there's all shops there. So it's probably rented properly. And as you can see in front is the church that Sunday school I used to go to there. My mum made us go to Sunday school. I'm not that religious, but I think it was just a way of getting rid of us out of the house for a few hours, give her a break. But yeah, this alley. So the left is the old times that I can remember, and the right is all new. It's all new. And it's parking spaces and everything put up. So it's kind of old and new there. But this alley, I haven't been up here for ages, and I doubt if I got there again in ages. But that house on the right, you can see, or straight ahead, that looks a very old building, a very old building that looks like. So I'm yapping away the background. That was me talking to Dee, because Dee has followed me again. She's right behind me, and I'm hoping, I keep having a look behind me, make sure she doesn't get lost. Anyway, so now we come up this alleyway, and then we're back on that main Poole Road. So it isn't really a shortcut, it was just for kids, we can muck around in that alleyway, get up to mischief, and nobody knew what was going on. And there's a church, but I don't know if it's a church anymore. A lot of churches are closing down, and it seems other things are going on in there. I don't know if it's still a church or whether it's been used for something, which is a shame really, because this church, because back in the old days, it was churches that first built schools. And the school I used to go to, St Michael's, and this is St Michael's Church, and it's called St Michael's School, well, they were built by that actual church. And now we're coming close to what is called County Gates, which is Bournemouth into Poole. So it's always been known as County Gates, although not many people call it that. But it is, if you go on the buses and you was on the green buses, or then it was green buses, you took the fares outside the county gates, and the money you collected at inside county gates went to Bournemouth Council. So here was the county gates, and there was another one. I think it was just going up towards Wimborne. There was one, and then another one heading towards Christchurch. So, as I was saying earlier, this trip was quite a long trip, because at first I imagined going this trip, Parkstone, and then going on to Poole, but I found it might be too far. And what was worrying me more was, because, as I said, when you go to Poole from this area, you're going downhill, which means you've got to come uphill. Very steep hills coming back, and I'm not sure whether a scooter could do that. If I had somewhere to stay in Poole, then I could go to Poole with my scooter and take my battery charger, and then stay overnight and charge it up for the journey back. But I got a feeling it's going to be too much, because even when I came back on this trip, I noticed my scooter was slowing up. So I think to go any further to Poole would be a bit too much of a risk, too taxing, and I don't want to break down in the middle of nowhere on my scooter, because I don't know how I'd get home. So I've got to think of things like that. So for the moment, Poole's up. Somebody said that you can go get a bus to Poole and then hire a scooter when you get there. But my walking's not so good. I couldn't even manage to walk to the bus stop and then walk to the shop in Poole. So, unless they make batteries that can give my radius more. I mean, I got 35-mile radius, but even then, you don't want to push it to the very end. So, anyway, so I'm not going to do Poole. Not at the moment. Poole's out. So here we are now, coming into what isn't called Westbourne. It's quite a changing place, Westbourne. Back in the 60s or maybe before, it was quite a posh area. All the shops were expensive, and then students moved in, and the area sort of came down a bit more. But it's still kept nice. I mean, you can see the plants here, the flowers and that, and it's quite busy for shops. Busier than Boscombe, in fact. There's not so many closures here. In fact, I can't see any here. And they've got an old arcade, which I go through, you'll see in a minute. So it's kept pretty much up with the times, but the people have changed. So I think it's kind of middle of the road now. It's not so much posh. It's not so much the youngsters and that. But in general, but it's a good place for tourists to come. if they want to have a look around. So here's the old arcade. This is the same age as the arcade I showed you in Boscombe when I did arcades. It's Victorian arcade, and you can see the flats above that people live. Must be secure living in there, because I think they shut this up. Oh yeah, I came this way, and I had a job getting through. I just about got through this gap. Dee didn't want to chance it, so she went back and turned around. But yeah, I just got through. Yeah, it's quite active here. Never used to be this active. But as you can see, all these shops are like speciality shops. They sell all sorts of things that... Oh yeah, this guy here on the scooter, I stopped and chatted with him. I was impressed with his scooter. I thought it was a motorbike at first, but it's a scooter just like mine, but it looks more like a motor. So I had a good chat with him about his scooter. Told him I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, there was quite a few guitar shops along here. Look, I was saying to Dee, I want to get myself an electric guitar and start a band. Well, at 77, you know, never too old to do anything. Start a group. So as you can see, the arcade, I think they got gargoyles on the top, which I've mentioned before, and they were kind of like the ones they have in Boscombe, that was scowling down. I'm going to try and not talk so much, but it's only because I'm with Dee. If I was on my own, you wouldn't be getting my voice in the background all the time. So, but just ignore that. It's just me talking to Dee. There's nothing to do with the video. So, but I don't want to switch it off. Otherwise, I'll cut out the outside noise like traffic and that. And you've got to have all that as part of the video. So it's hard to cut out the yap and not the background music. So this is the other side of Westbourne. It kind of runs through, the roads run through in two halves. You go left this side and then right the side I've just come out of, with the arcade cutting through the middle. The buses go up this main route because it then leads on to the road that also goes straight to Poole. So all the buses coming along here now are Poole buses, heading to Poole. As I've said in a lot of my videos, most people when they go through towns and that, they only look at the shop fronts, but I always look above, because I like to see the old technology, because a lot of these buildings, they go back a long time, Victorian or even earlier. But the shops fronts change, the shops themselves change, but the actual building is still the same as all them years ago. As you can see, the flowers are blooming everywhere there, so they make an effort, Westbourne. In fact, Westbourne even has a Marks and Spencer's food hall, which even Bournemouth doesn't have. Christchurch has the Marks and Spencer's, and so does Westbourne, but Bournemouth used to, but they're all closed down now, which is unfortunate. So as you look above, it looks like it's going to be a storm, doesn't it? But I looked at my smartphone and they didn't predict any rain. So I thought it was worth taking a chance to do the trip, this trip to Parkstone. These next few days, the weather's going to be pretty much like this, with maybe threats of showers, even thunderstorms for some people. But the heat wave at the moment has died down, and it's gone down to 23, 24 degrees. But I've heard it's coming back again. This again is still July, it's halfway through July. It's actually the 15th of July. So we're halfway through this, so there's a lot more heat wave to come. But this is a nice break in the weather for me to go out and do a bit more filming. But even when it does get hot, if I set off early, then it's not so bad, but it starts to get hot on the way back, which is around maybe midday, 1 o'clock. Seems to be a lot of these barriers, roadwork barriers, everywhere I've gone. Some haven't filmed but in the beginning, it's like an assault course. Some of them you have to get, the footpath was closed, and you've got to follow this narrow, especially on a scooter, to try and get through. But there seems to be a lot of it going on, and it happens every summer. Suddenly the workmen come out. I suppose the weather's right for doing jobs like that. I suppose a lot of it, you can't work in the winter, especially if it's roadworks, because if it's too cold, not because the workmen get cold, but because it's probably the ground won't, I don't know, trying to get technical here, but you know what I mean. So maybe that's why roadworks always seem to occur, and railway lines in the summer, when people are trying to go on holiday and travel around. Strange, but that's life, isn't it? Now we're heading up here. This is the big roundabout where everything goes everywhere. The Poole, you're going to Poole, you're going back to Bournemouth on the dual carriageway, back down to the seafront, straight, all sorts of directions. So it's quite a busy road. But not actually. This is now the top end of the journey to Parkstone, and we're heading towards Branksome here. But I was telling Dee, on the left used to be a big print firm called 7 Print, and they were a big print company, and it was a closed shop. It was very difficult to get a job there unless you knew somebody. You had to be invited. But it's all been pulled down now. The wall is still there, all that wall there, all this property, but the building's gone. I think they moved the building. They haven't gone past. This is the railway bridge from here now, down there, and there's the railway pub. That's another old building, that railway pub. So now we're at what they call Branksome. And I once had another flat round here. I had a flat in Westbourne. In fact, I've had a flat nearly everywhere. I've had more moves than Pickfords. In fact, down there on the left, that's the road where I lived. It was a cottage house down there. And on the way back, I pull into there and film it for old memory's sake for me. It's a listed building, and they're not allowed to make many structural changes, but they have made some changes in the garden, I noticed, but not many. So a few rows of shops here. Again, a lot of these shops and restaurants keep changing hands. So I'm sure there used to be an Italian restaurant up here. They don't seem to be there anymore, but it's always the same old thing. Takeaway shops and burgers and things like that. But I can't imagine this being a big shopping area, but there you go. And over to the right, you can see their home base. That's a big retail park. So that's where you get the big stores that you can go to. And turning on this roundabout here, if you turn right, third turning right, you're heading down Alder Hills, which leads to Wallasdown. Left of me is heading down to Poole, and we come back on that route, so you'll see it coming back. And straight ahead, where we're going now, is Parkstone. So this is Parkstone Poole. So, and it hasn't changed that much, Parkstone. In fact, I find it a bit of a dull place, really. You know, it just hasn't moved. Same old, and I thought Boscombe was bits gone downhill, but This place hasn't moved anywhere. Because I remember, because I used to come up here shopping when I lived in that Langley Road back there. And I was there for well over a year. And I used to come up this way, and it didn't change one bit. Still the same. But there you go. That's interesting to note. I just caught my eye there on the right. The Pelican Crossing. There used to be zebra crossing there, but it was so dangerous. Many times I nearly got knocked over. People just ignored it because they were coming off the roundabout and gathering up speed, and they just went straight through without even seeing it was a Pelican Crossing. No, not Pelican, a zebra crossing. So now they maybe somebody died there, because that's what seems to happen these days. Until they make changes, someone's got to die. Once again, lots of shop fronts here on the right that invariably change hands now and then. Then you've got the ordinary housing on the left. So there's a bit of a mixed area. That looks like another big official building. That looks like a block of flats or something. It's massive, isn't it? That's new. That's got to be new. I don't remember seeing that before. It's quite a massive, big place. Anyway, so this is now the main drag through what is known as Upper Parkstone, which destination on this trip is go to a viewpoint, famous viewpoint for local people. In fact, it's always packed. It's called Constitution Hill. And I've been there before. One of my videos with the old camera, analog camera, I filmed from there. Because you can see the whole of Poole Bay and Poole itself. It's an excellent viewpoint, and it's very popular all times of the year. Another lamppost stuck in the bleeding middle of the road. We're blooming out, and there we go. Look at this. I've got to go on the road again. Look at that parking. How do they get away with it? Look at it. Blooming out. I thought I'd get through one video without moaning, but no chance. I've got to find something, ain't I? Look at it. So stupid, some of these people. I thought a lot of these things are not allowed, but they seem to just do it anyway. I suppose now shoplifting's become legal, so maybe doing everything is illegal is becoming legal. Well, soon it'll be drugs will be legal. Well, we won't go there. We won't go there. I've been building up my musical CDs again. Saying CDs are going out. I mean, I like to buy a CD and then convert them to MP3s, and then I can play it on my MP3 players. But I still like to have the hard copy. I don't, when you can buy it and have it downloaded. It's the same now with my computer games I like to play from Steam. You don't get the hard copy anymore. You just get them downloaded. So with CDs, maybe that will fade out one day. You won't be able to buy CDs. You'll have to download everything, and that'd be a shame because you don't have anything to feel, to hold, or to own. You can't pass it on because when you go, it's like all the games I've got on Steam. I can't leave them in the wheel to anyone. I can't take them with me either. Can't go killing Germans while I'm in heaven, can I? They won't like that. Anyway, so what I was thinking of, one of the collections I've got is ABBA's greatest hits. And I suddenly thought, they're playing one of them. Look at that letterbox right in the middle of the blooming road. So I thought, one of their songs is playing my song. Have you heard it? Scooter Rooter, where the hell are you? La la la. Yeah, Scooter Rooter. They're singing my song. See, there we go. More stuff in the middle of the blooming road. By the way, I won't be applying for Britain's Got Talent. Don't worry. Don't panic. And so all these buses now, they're all heading up to Poole. What they do is they go to the top where we're heading, and then they go down the steep hill. It's a really steep hill, which takes them on the road to Poole Civic Centre, and then Poole itself. And it is a steep hill. I remember when I used to ride a bike down there, I was overtaking cars. I'm sure I got flashed once with a camera for speeding. It was dead easy cycling to Poole, because in fact you didn't even have to pedal, it just went all the way downhill, and you were going fast as well. But coming back means you had to go up the hill, and many times I had to get off and walk. So it's you could say it has its ups and downs. Another lamppost in the middle of the pavement. Come on, get a grip. What's the matter with you? Yeah, it has its ups and downs. So you might have an easy ride there, but you've got a hard ride back. But then they got these cycles now with electric motors. Cool, I wish they'd have had them when I used to ride a bike. Mind you, I've got a scooter now, and I with electric motors, so I can't moan. That's Shoppies. I'm sure that was a Sainsbury's. It wasn't a Waitrose when I lived here. I'm sure that was a Sainsbury's. So, I mean, it's all these supermarkets, all the blimmin' same, aren't they? It's only a different name, but they all sell the same thing. Might as well have one supermarket, but they're more. Are they more? Is it what do they call it? Walmart, some American firms, aren't they? But no, I'm sure that used to be Sainsbury's. There's a lot of shops up here. I can't recall who's gone and who hasn't, because I never really did much shopping in the actual little shops. There's all sorts of things going on here. There's standing there, tattoo, laundry, and that party shop for party. They come and go. Asian mini shop. These two were getting on my nerves. I just switched the camera off, and then I overtook them. And then I thought, oh great, we've got a free road again. And then I get to these traffic lights here, and I had to stop, but they didn't stop. They just carried on, so I had to jump the lights here. So that's why there's a big cut in between this run, because I had to cut those two out. I was just filming them going all the way. As you can see, those clouds above are getting a bit busy at the moment. In fact, when I got to the Constitution Hill we're heading for, there was a shower, but it only lasted about 5 minutes, and they have a little kiosk there, sell tea and coffee and hot dogs and whatever, and was able to shelter there. But it was only a 5 minute quick downpour, and then we're all right. That's the only rain we got that day, but although the clouds and the sky still look quite threatening. There's another row of shops. Again, acupuncture, all sorts of fish and chips. I think they've always been there. So there's a lot of takeaway shops there. So it's mostly the same kind of shops ever. Old churches and that. See, new buildings on the left and the old type on the. Well, they're not that old, are they, on the right? No, not really. Is that a thatched building on the right? It looks like it could have been. That looks like an old. No, maybe not. Maybe just designed that way. Nice wide pavements here, like that. Cycle round on which I'm not in. Didn't realise it was there. I honestly didn't see it was there. So now we're coming very close to my destination, Constitution Hill. I often wonder what it's like living in one of these houses on a real main busy road. Oh yeah, I have to go round this. This is very dodgy because it's a busy road, and luckily there was a van trying to turn and he left a gap, and I was able to quickly nip through, but that is really dangerous for him to park there like that. If they want to park there like that, they should have somebody to let people cross, like to hold up the traffic or something there. because it's a dangerous place. Anyway, here we are now. This is where I was aiming for. This is Constitution Hill, which, as I said, I have filmed before a good while back. And as you can see by all the cars, it is a busy area for people to just come here and sit and relax and look over this famous viewpoint. And also, as you can see, workmen here stopped because they've got a nice snack bar here. That looks suspicious. I reckon sometimes people try to sleep here overnight with their caravan nets. But as you can see, it's not a real sunny day. But the view, which I do manage to film, at the moment there's this thing on the right. That's the shelter we went into when it was raining. But there was no drop curbs. I couldn't get on there, and I asked that woman in that chair, that scooter, how can I get up there? There's no drop. She said, you've got to go all the way back to the beginning. Well, here I am now. I'm actually went up, managed to find a drop curb, and I'm now filming from the viewpoint. That is Poole there and Poole Bay down there. And they seem to have a monument. That wasn't there when Rolf and I came. A war memorial. And it looks as if the reeves are still there from last November. They couldn't have done anything for. But that's Poole. Right in the distance there, it's, oh dear, what do they call it? I've forgotten what it's called. Brownsea Island, that's it. That's Brownsea Island. In the middle there, just there to the left, in the middle, close to the middle. That's Brownsea Island. That's where the Baden-Powell formed the Boy Scouts. I think he got the idea from Hitler with his youth groups. That's another story. So now, trying to figure out which way to go back. Do we go back the Poole route, or do we go the Wallersdown route? I spoke to a lady, she said this was a shortcut, but it turned out not to be, because I thought this would go all the way to where I wanted to go, but it didn't. It came to the end there, and then I suddenly reached a point where, do I go left, do I go right, do I go straight on? And I got really confused, because once I get into Poole, I'll tell you, I don't know Poole as well as I know Bournemouth. So, and I even had my map with me and I got lost. So, but I finally found my bearings and got the road I wanted to find. But it took a while. Maybe that's where I used up a lot of battery. But we got back on this main drag. Now this road now, we're heading on back to where we started. This road takes us all the way back to Branksome, the beginning of where Parkstone, Upper Parkstone begins. And so this is Lower Parkstone really. Ashley Cross, which I didn't go through, but Ashley Cross was back there. But that was Lower Parkstone back down there. So this is like, is it called the Bournemouth Road? But it leads to Bournemouth anyway. How come the Poole Road is in Bournemouth and the Bournemouth Road is in Poole? It's quite, as you can see, as I said, it's quite a hill. And this is what worries me about going to Poole. Although I was able to do this run and travel back up the hill, but I thought if I went to Poole and then went round Poole, especially if I went to the harbour, it would take it all out of my scooter, and I don't know if I'd have the power to get back up these hills to get back home again. So I don't think I'm going to risk Poole. This is a very steep hill. Remember when I had a bike? I mean, you notice how steep it is when you're on a bike. And many times I had to walk up these hills. Cause, I mean, if I tried to ride, I might as well walk, because I was going faster walking than trying to pull those pedals. So now this is where we get back. I cut the film a bit. This is back up to the top again to Branksome, where we started off. Remember? There you go, there's the shops I told you about. This is near where I used to live, which I said to Dee, let's go down and film where I used to live, for old time's sake. So the road is called Langley Road. I'm sure that curve there, that used to be the restaurant. I'm sure that was the restaurant, which was Italian, but that's not. It's called the Night Owl. That wouldn't be Italian. Yeah, this is Langley Road. So this is the road I lived in for about a year before. When it was in the break, I was in living in Hamburg, Germany, and then I came back for about 6 months or more. Oh no, Rolf came back as well. The guy I was with, because he was German. And then he went back to Hamburg and I stayed here. So I was here for about a year in this road. And I had a few little jobs that I did, mostly in the hotel bar work and that. But I really didn't get to know neighbours, because they're very rare that I saw them. But there was one old lady that I got on ever so well with, and I filmed her house. She's probably gone now, because she was quite old then. But she was a sweet old lady, and we used to get on ever so well. And she lived in a very similar house to the one in fact, there's a block of 3 of them. You can see them in front there now on the left. I was in the middle one. So the first one I filmed, not there, that house, that's where she lived. She lived in that. So you can see there's a block of 3 of them, and they're listed buildings. They can't change much there without permission, because I remember saying to the landlord about getting double glazing windows, and he said I'm not allowed. But they're very small. You open the front door and you're in the main sitting room, and the rooms are very tiny, very narrow stairs going upstairs. They're really only for one person. They're not for a family. Even for 2 people, just 2 people, a couple, it was quite a tight. But yeah, this is where I lived. That hedge there with a thing that wasn't there when I was there. And that's a bedroom that on the top, 2 windows for the same room, so it's just one room up there. There's another small room at the back. There's no garden at the back, it's more of a backyard, and it's very small. So that was where I lived for some time. So now, heading back to where we started, back to Bournemouth. And this is Westbourne again. And this is where I didn't bother filming anymore, because I thought, well, I've done all of Westbourne and I've done Bournemouth and that. So the video's pretty much coming to an end now. There's quite a new building there on the left. But that's I also had a flat here on the right above a shop, another pokey flat. I lived in some pretty rotten places. But that wasn't a rotten place, that Langley Road. That was a nice little home, and I had a pleasant stay there. So, and many good memories of that place. So here we are, come through Westbourne on the route home, because now all I've got to do is go down to Bournemouth, take the shortcut, and then back home. So I thought I'd cut the filming around here, and make this a shorter video. Luckily it's only about 40 minutes or 40 minutes long, so it's not that as long. I didn't film I was out for 4.5 hours, but I didn't film it all. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. As you see, it gets congestive sometimes in busy shops. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I look forward to making the next one. I've yet to find out where I'm going to go, but I'm definitely not going to Poole. But I've got to work out where I'm going to go next. But hopefully the weather will still keep up now. As you can see, the sky is brightening up now, and it did get hotter later. So it was a good trip out, and I didn't get too hot. So anyway, that's it for now. So bye for now. See you next time. Bye.